10 gospel legends you didn't know were gay. You know their voices, you sung their songs, their music lit up your Sunday mornings and brought you to tears on lonely nights. But behind the praise and pulpit, some of gospel's greatest legends were carrying secrets the church wasn't ready to hear. What if I told you that some of the biggest names in gospel, voices that shaped the entire genre, were also living in fear of being found out? Stay tuned, because number 7, he was crowned gospel royalty, but behind closed doors, his truth was buried deep. This isn't just about music, it's about courage, pain, and the fight to be seen. Let's talk about 10 gospel legends you didn't know were gay. Let's start with Nicole Serrano, a woman raised in the church pews carrying a heavy secret. She grew up singing in the pews, the daughter of a pastor, surrounded by scriptures, sermons, and expectations. Nicole Serrano was a rising voice in Christian music, known for her soulful vocals and heartfelt lyrics. But behind that voice was a girl silently drowning in fear. Nicole spent years trying to force herself to be someone she wasn't. Raised in a deeply conservative faith, she was taught that being gay was not only wrong, but unspeakable. Still, the truth remained. She was a lesbian, and hiding it was eating her alive. In a quiet, powerful moment of self-acceptance, Nicole decided to stop performing a version of herself I'm a lot more enjoyable now, she laughed once, because I don't hate myself anymore. And with that, she stepped into the light, unafraid. Today, she's no longer hiding. Her music, her presence, her truth, all exist in harmony, and she's never looked back.
Yeah, I just want to keep being really honest. And
just when you thought it couldn't get more real, at number 9, we have Jennifer Knapp. Jennifer Knapp was the voice of Christian folk rock in the early 2000s. Her gritty vocals, her raw honesty. Albums like Kansas and Lay It Down weren't just music, they were ministry. Then she vanished. 8 years of silence, no albums, no tours, no explanation. And then, out of nowhere, Jennifer returned. But she wasn't just bringing music, she brought truth. She had spent those missing years in Australia, falling in love with a woman, coming to terms with her identity, rebuilding her faith. Some fans rejoiced, others, not so much. The backlash was real. Some churches banned her, Christian bookstores pulled her albums, but Jennifer didn't back down. Instead, she founded Inside Out Faith, an organization for LGBTQ+ people navigating rejection from religious spaces. Her post-comeback music, like Letting Go and Set Me Free, is even more soulful, even more honest, because now she sings from a place of freedom. But when you finally stop hiding, you start bleeding. At number 8, Trey Pearson. Trey Pearson had everything: a booming career, a loving wife, thousands of screaming fans singing his everyday Sunday hits at youth conferences across the country. But behind the stage lights was a man crumbling. For years, Trey begged God to change him.
I was wondering, since you made me this way.
He fasted, he cried, he prayed that his same-sex attraction would just disappear, but it never did. And in 2016, he stopped pretending. In a raw, heartfelt letter published in Time magazine, Trey came out to the world. "I never wanted to be gay," he wrote, but he was. And for the first time, he wasn't going to hide it.
A little over 6 months ago, I was able to finally accept who I was and be able to admit to myself that I was gay. And
he lost gigs, churches canceled him, his marriage ended. But Trey, he gained himself. His 2017 single, Silver Horizon, captures the emotional beauty of that freedom. "I've never felt so free," he said. And now, he's using his voice not just to sing, but to speak up for others walking the same path. This brings us to the next story. When you hear this, you will understand the cost of hiding. Number 7, Daryl Coley. Daryl Coley's voice was like thunder and silk at the same time. When he sang "He's Preparing Me," entire churches would weep. He was a vocal powerhouse, praised by legends and worship leaders alike. But there was something he never talked about. Behind the church robes and Sunday suits, Daryl Coley struggled with his sexuality in silence. Whispers followed him for years, but in the gospel world of the 80s and 90s, to be openly gay was a death sentence for a career. So he stayed quiet. Publicly, he was the anointed minister. Privately, he was torn between two worlds, his faith and his truth. He never officially came out, but close friends and gospel insiders knew the pain he carried. In 2016, when he passed away, many mourned the loss of a gospel great, but some also mourned something deeper, the tragedy of a man who never got to live his full truth in the open.
At number 6, we have a voice that refused to be silenced. B-Slade, formerly Tonex. There's before Tonex and after Tonex. He was the prince of gospel, fearless, flamboyant, and freakishly talented. Hits like God Has Not Forgot and over 40 genre-bending projects made him a trailblazer in every sense.
The side I can no longer.
But the gospel world wasn't ready for him. When Tonex came out as gay in a televised interview, it sent shockwaves through the Christian community. Pastors condemned him, church bookings dried up, radio stopped playing his music. He didn't just get canceled, he got excommunicated. "I didn't leave gospel," he said. "Gospel left me." But Tonex wasn't done. He reinvented himself as B-Slade. Still spiritual, still electric, but no longer confined to the church's judgment. Today, his influence is everywhere. Gospel artists mimic his vocal runs and production style, even if they don't say his name out loud. He kicked down doors others were too scared to knock on. And that's legacy. But for others, the shame ran even deeper. At number 5, Donnie McClurkin. This one's hard because Donnie McClurkin is gospel royalty. Songs like Stand and We Fall Down are stitched into the fabric of every black church in America. He survived childhood trauma, addiction, and cancer, and turned his pain into praise. But behind the music was a war no one could see. Donnie has spoken publicly about struggling with homosexuality for years, describing it as a thorn in his flesh. He once said he believed God could make him straight, that he wanted to be delivered. His comments sparked outrage. Some LGBTQ Christians felt hurt, others saw a man battling deep inner wounds and religious pressure. In later years, he admitted the truth. He's never been in a long-term relationship.
I didn't know how to have the relationship.
"I don't really know how to do that," he said in a 2021 interview, voice cracking with honesty. It's heartbreaking, because whether Donnie is gay, bi, celibate, or still figuring it out, what's clear is the church never gave him space to just be. At number 4, we have a legend who never had to say a word about his queerness. Ricky Dillard. The king of choir praise, Ricky Dillard turned church music into an all-out celebration. His energy, his choirs, his anointing, it was unmatched. You're the Lifter still brings congregations to their feet, but Ricky too is part of this quiet history. Though he has never come out publicly, his style, demeanor, and longtime support from LGBTQ+ fans have led many to believe he's part of the community. And while he's never confirmed anything, what stands out is this. In a world that tried to force queer people out of the sanctuary, Ricky built one of the loudest, proudest, and most joyful expressions of gospel music ever seen. Room for others to dance, shout, and praise freely. And for many LGBTQ+ gospel lovers, that's more than music, that's healing. At number 3, we have someone whose fame couldn't protect him from pain. Billy Preston. Billy Preston was a true musical genius. His fingers danced on the keys like magic, and his voice carried the spirit of gospel and soul. He started young, playing alongside legends like the Beatles and becoming a major star himself. But behind the spotlight and fame, Billy fought a painful battle inside. He was gay, something he later openly acknowledged. But growing up in the gospel world and then in mainstream music, his sexuality was a secret he struggled to accept. Billy's faith was strong, but the church's judgment was harsh. He often wrestled with how to be true to himself while holding on to his spiritual roots. That internal conflict haunted him for years. Despite his struggles, Billy never stopped making music. His hits blended gospel, soul, and rock in ways no one else could, but the pressure to hide parts of himself took a toll. His journey reminds us how many artists carry unseen battles, balancing faith, identity, and the desire to be authentic. Billy Preston's legacy is more than music. It's a story of courage amid contradiction. This next legend broke rules long before it was safe. At number 2, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Sister Rosetta Tharpe wasn't just a gospel singer, she was the original queen of rock and roll. Her guitar playing was electric, her voice powerful, and her stage presence unforgettable. And Chuck Berry. But there's another story behind the legend, a love story. Sister Rosetta had a romantic relationship with Marie Knight, a fellow singer and performer. At a time when same-sex relationships were hidden or condemned, they lived their truth quietly but boldly. Their love wasn't just a private affair, it influenced their
music and performances. They shared the stage, harmonizing not only in song, but in life. Rosetta's life was about breaking barriers, musical, racial, and personal. Yet like many LGBTQ+ figures in gospel, her story was often erased or ignored by mainstream history. Remembering Sister Rosetta Tharpe means honoring not only her groundbreaking sound, but her courage to love and live authentically long before it was safe to do so.
All in my soul, it makes me whole.
And finally, at number 1, we have a king who sang through silence and sorrow, James Cleveland. James Cleveland is called the King of Gospel for good reason. His voice could shake the heavens, and his song, Peace Be Still, still gives people chills. He mentored stars like Aretha Franklin and changed the game with bold arrangements that brought gospel into the mainstream. He was a legend, beloved by many, inspiring generations. But behind the music, James carried a secret that few knew. He was privately gay. Into the human story behind the King of Gospel. Now let's talk about what this all means. These stories remind us that behind the music we love are real people, wrestling with identity, faith, and acceptance in ways many of us can't imagine. They faced rejection, pain, and isolation, yet their voices broke barriers and changed the world forever. Their courage wasn't just about making great music, it was about living authentically when the world wasn't ready. So next time you listen to gospel, rock, or soul, remember the brave souls who shaped those sounds while fighting their own battles in silence. Their legacy is more than notes and rhythms. It's a powerful lesson about truth, resilience, and hope. If this moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. Let's keep telling stories that matter. Thanks for watching, and stay true to who you are.